All right, now we're going to talk about variables. You might have run into variables before, probably in math. You probably remember equations like x plus 20 equals 30, where you have to solve for that x variable, or maybe quadratic equations, or many different math terms that use a letter or sometimes a symbol to represent a value, a number. Well, in code, it is a little different. Variables contain data, and data can take many different forms. It can be a number, but it can be many things. And we're going to dive into Codesters and play around with some variables. So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to create this project, and I'm going to click into the code area, and I'm going to type in a variable name. In this case, I'm just going to give the variable name width. And this is the cool thing about Python is, once again, it's a highly interpretive language, so you can just write a word and that becomes a variable. So I'm going to go ahead here and hit the next piece that's really important, which is the equals operator. The equals operator basically assigns a value to this variable that we just created. So I'm going ahead and type in a value. So maybe I'll put in 20. And then I'm going to have a variable now created with the value 20 inside of it. Now, this might not be very useful. If I hit my run button, nothing's really going to much happen. So let's make things a little more interesting. Let's go to shapes. Let's go ahead and scroll down. I'm going to grab this square shape. And you might notice that there's this kind of grayed out text. This is called a comment. And it has this little hashtag or number sign at the beginning. And that communicates to Python. This isn't something the computer needs to do. It's something there for the coder to read. And this explains what all these values are inside these parentheses. And this is something we're going to learn more about later. But for now, this is just a place where we can change how this square looks, or maybe its color, or its where it is on the project window. So I'm going to go ahead here and change this width in this value of 100 to my variable name. And that's actually all I have to do, because remember, variables contain data. So when the computer reads width, it says width is 20 and puts that value in there. So I'm going to hit the run button, and there we go. We got our 20 unit square. Now, maybe if I want to change that, I'm going to go back to my 20 and I'm going to type in 200. You might notice nothing changed on the square because these are only happen when the program's running over that code. So I'm going to hit run again, and it changes the width again to 200, 10 times larger. Now, variables can contain different types of data. So you'll notice that there's a color option there. So I'm going to make a variable, call it color, make use of that equals sign operator, and I'm going to set this to basically a word. Now, to communicate to the Python, to the computer, that this is a word, we're going to have to use a special symbol, the quote symbol. So I'm going to hit that quotes. I'm going to type in my color I want, and I'm going to close my quote. And that turns green. And this signifies that it understands it as a string of characters. And just think of it as like if you were to glue characters onto a string. They're all connected now. And that's what's getting put into the color variable box, that little container. And I'm going to go in here and replace this blue with color. And you might notice I'm not using quotes because it's going to go to the color variable and say, what's inside you? Oh, there's a string, red. And I take that information and I do something with it. So I'm going to hit the run button and boom, there it is. It is red, it's a square, it's a width of 200, and my variable's working. So go ahead, take that activity challenge, that understanding challenge below, make your own project, make your own shape, make your own variables, maybe make a few, try it out, play around, have some fun. In the next video, we're going to be talking about naming variables and how those are important too. So come on back.